Hello again. Shaboom. Hoping we meet again. Oh, I just did this 50-minute tutorial on Lightroom. And then I realized my settings were wrong on OBS and all I recorded was a black screen. So yeah, it had all the keys to all the secrets you could possibly ever want to know about Lightroom. And how you can just basically snap your fingers and have all your pictures edited like in about that time. But so you'll never know that because I messed up and I didn't record it properly. So let's see what we can do here. Now we're gonna go and try again. We'll start from the beginning and we'll try to make this one short. File, import. File, import. There's got to be a import photos and video. Oh yeah, there's a button over here too that says import, but I don't know if it's gonna let me import because it's exporting a bunch of stuff, but I think it will let me import. Okay, I gotta go to my drive, which is somewhere. I have storage somewhere. I have this year in 2019, and I have down here, keep running, music video, shoot. And really, I'm just gonna bulk edit some of these photos. Now, these are all, first thing we gotta do is import them all. So where are we gonna import them to? I don't even know. Okay, so I'm gonna import. And it's starting me a new session, which is interesting because this one is still have this bar, this progress bar, which is exporting roughly about 1,000 photos. It was like 960 something photos. And then my second bar here is this bar, which is done. So we have a whole new session. Interesting. So there's your previous import. What if you're telling me there's 144 pictures here? Wow. All right, so let us begin by clicking on this, double clicking it, and going to develop. This picture is not in very good focus. So first thing we could do is crank the clarity. Actually, we can make it fuzzy, give it this like fuzzy look. And then we'll pop in some vibrance for colors. And let me bring up the clarity. Not really feeling it because it's a little blurry. Pull up some exposure, that's a little too much. Contrast, that's overkill. Yeah, I'm not really feeling this picture very much, but sharpening, let's pop in some sharpening. We have our radius here. If we hold Alt, we can see our radius detail. If we hold Alt, and we want it to be that. To be more like this maybe. And the masking is what is gonna, what's going on? Hold Alt. There we go. The masking, I believe the white is what's gonna get sharpened, whereas what's black will not really get sharpened. Luminance, we could pop in a little bit, and that's gonna like smooth out some of the graininess. And as we go down the list here, we don't need a lens correction because this was shot with a phone. And we're not really going to have these camera calibrations because it was shot with a phone. So if it was shot with the DSLR and RAW, you'd have more options here. You'd have more dynamic range. Oh, what I do? I just lost my, there we go. Let's put it back. Excuse yourself. There's my next image. Let's scroll back up and start from the top. We'll do just clarity. We'll definitely bring some vibrance in for the grass. And that's fine. These photos are not too good to begin with because they were shot with a cell phone. So, but anyway, let's say I want to take this that I just edited. I want to apply it to all these. So I'll take this, highlight it, or sorry, click on it, and then hold Shift. Click all these, click Sync. Give me an option to sync all these things that are checked off. Some things are not checked off. I'm going to hit Synchronize. And so now as I go to this next photo, which didn't turn out the same because the lighting's a little different, so now it's a little dark. If I press Y, I see a side by side, and so as I zoom in here, what happened is this clarity crank that I have kind of made things a little dark. So if I want to take exposure and brighten this up, that's too much. See my graph up here in the top. As I adjust exposure, the graph changes. And so now you have your before and your after. And as I zoom out and go back to the picture, that looks a lot better. I'm going to take that one that I just did right here, click off of it, click on it. Click on it. I'm getting a delay because this is still exporting other files apparently somewhere. I'm going to grab all these again and I'm going to click sync and then sync them again. So now I should have the same color. Oh, see how it got brighter in that one. What do you know there? A little too bright. So we'll have to back down the exposure. And these ones after are also the same brightness. So I'm going to take that one, click these again, sync it, synchronize, and hopefully this time we have the correct look. There we go. Here's the before. Here's the after. You can see the grass is greener on the right side. And there we go. It took a minute to focus. They look similar. Her skin's a little lighter, so they're a little more exposed, a little more color. So not much editing involved here, just a little sharpness and a little more color, and that's all it really needs. Because like I said, it was shot with a phone, so it's not going to be great to begin with, but they're okay now. They have this like haze, like rainbow looking, whatever you call it, lens flare. See the before and the after. If you look at the color of the trees and the grass, all we really did was we put in some color. It takes a second to focus. Mostly put in some color there, that's all. So really the gist of what we did a little bit of sharpening. Like you can look at this emblem on her there. There's a little, oh, look at the rainbowish, shows up more. So really it's just mostly colors. These are not good to begin with. I'll say that like 25 times now, but they were shot with a phone. Anyway, moving along, so those look good. Next one looks alright. Next one, I like those flares. Cool little lens flares. Okay, so now we've moved on to this one, and things have changed with color. So let's take this one. And I'm just going to grab a bunch of these here, hold Shift, and then click them, and then sync them, and then we'll just have a starting point for all these, and maybe they'll be okay. Click off of it, click back on it. I wish my 50-minute video I just didn't have the wrong settings, and then I wouldn't have to be doing this now. Again, I don't have to be doing anything. I've chosen to do this, but anyway. Let's see, this is still, now they're a little dark here, so what we can do is pull in some, I don't know, maybe some whites. Didn't really do much, that just lost the sky. See the sky? Ooh, take them out, put them in. Let me undo it, see where they were. They were there. That's interesting. So I take the highlights and crunch them down, and you get more clouds in there. Clouds. And now I'm going to take some shadows and bring the shadows up. We bring in some brighten up some of the darks. That looks pretty interesting. Look at the tree line here. If you look at that tree line back there, sharpen, focus, focus, focus. See the clouds on the right. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned the left is the before, the right is the after. Should have mentioned that from the start. Okay, so now we got that. Pretty cool. Alright, so we got that one. So let's take this one and we will take it and copy it to this guy, sync it, synchronize, and so the next picture right after it looks about the same. This is the before. See how dark they are? They're kind of like backlit. And then the right one, how much brighter. Focus up, come on, come on, come on now, focus up, focus in, focus, there you go. It's annoying that it takes so long to focus, but for the image to like process. Okay, so here we go, and we've had these other settings on from before, and that doesn't look bad at all. Actually looks pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Alright, so, ooh, this one, look at the colors, nice colors. This is the before on the left and the after on the right. So all we really mostly did was saturate a little bit with vibrance and a little bit of sharpening. We have not done much at all, but it looks pretty cool. So we'll just move along, get some vibrant photos up in here. This one, I'll just skip along. I'm going to skip through these because they all kind of look similar. He might be a little too exposed there, but that's fine. Take out some of the highlights. Oh, that's what I should have done on the other. Well, these don't show the sky. That's fine. So we'll kill some highlights. And then after we kill some highlights, we could change the temperature and give it like a hot look because it was very hot that day, which was yesterday, I think. Time sure flies. But let me zoom back out. It has a nice, very nice, interesting hue to it. So maybe we'll take that setting. I'll put in a little contrast. There we go. We get some contrast going on in there. And we've got the clarity pumped. We've got some vibrance, which might be a little too much vibrance. And then the highlights are down. This is where they would be. If you double click, they reset to the middle, but that's too much because this head is all like washed out. So let's take those back down. Sharpening. Why do we have no sharpening? Interesting. So add a little sharpening. We went through this before, but I must have not transferred the settings. But let's say this is the radius, kind of thick. The detail. If I hold shift, it gives me the detail. Oh, this is too much detail, so we want less detail. And then the masking will hide, meaning it won't sharpen, I believe, the black areas. Okay, a little noise reduction. And we're going to take this one right here, which has this like yellowish tint to it now. I wonder if we should put some blue. No, the yellow is good. The blue would look like cool like this, but it was a hot day and I want to capture that element of heat. So I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to come back and highlight these, click sync again, and watch as these actually change to this more like golden hue, hot look to it. Alright, so we have that. It's a little sharper. Alright, so we got this, we got all those, and then it ends here. So if we go from here, oh, see that? So I'm going to take from this picture, as I'm on this picture, now I'm going to take and grab all, you know what, I'm going to grab I'm going to grab everything up to the last photo on the bridge. And then I'm going to click sync, synchronize. And so really it comes down to finding a cool image, a cool look for the image that you have, and then applying the synchronization to all the other photos that are in the same environment. So as the environment changes, as the sun or camera settings change, you're going to have different images. So this one looks a little brighter, a little more exposed, so we can double click exposure, it'll bring it back down to the default. And then we have these meters histogram up here. If I click these on, it'll show me any overexposed parts in red. So you want to get it down just under those overexposed parts. That looks pretty good. And same thing if you had it too dark, it'll show you in blue the parts that are too dark. But I want to be, let's say we're back in the middle here. Now I'm going to take that one because we just readjusted it, and I'm going to grab all these again up to that last photo on the bridge. Actually, that's not even the last photo on the bridge. I had some turtles here in the water, but I'm going to sync those again, and it should override all the settings. Should, I mean it will, and then click off of that and click back on it. And sorry we have this delay, but once, like I said, I think we're still exporting all these other photos from another library. Oh, see, there we go. We got this one. Now if we look at the before and after, oh, so even the before was overexposed, so we took out a lot of the overexposure, but you could totally see the color difference in these. And see, even his head was all, this was all originally overexposed in the original photo. And so we actually fixed it for the most part over here, toned down the exposure, but look at all those colors of the plants and stuff. Oh, what, like I don't know if I said all this. I had said this in my long video. I just failed to record properly. But all this red is from these that I have checked here. That's telling me what's overexposed. Likewise, any blue would be telling me what's not, and that will not be in the final picture regardless. It's just an indicator to me as like a meter from the histogram, indicating to me what parts look overexposed, which I'm mostly using my eye to judge those, but see, there you go. If we had the original photo, you see all that stuff that's overexposed, the guitar, his head, the sun through the trees, but we're good. We fixed all that by taking this highlights and bringing them way down, taking these highlights and bringing them way down. Not this correct grammatical correctness. Okay, so let's back out. So double click on the little image here, or click on it to zoom back out. We got Mr. Rockstar there on the stage, and then skip through these. They're all pretty good. They're all taken at the same time, so they shouldn't really fluctuate much in exposure, clarity, or contrast or anything. So we'll just skip through all these of him on the stage. These were also taken while the camera was running on my phone, so these are just pictures snapped while recording video, which probably reduces the quality to begin with. I would imagine it might be a lesser quality than if you were to just take a photo with your phone, but it is what it is. My real camera was there. I call it a real camera because it's like a manual exposure DSLR Canon Rebel T3i. Kind of old and outdated now, but it still does magic for me, and I can't afford anything more, so I won't be getting anything more unless one of you guys wants to buy it for me. Wish you don't, so let's not even entertain that hypothetical non-option. All right, so see the blacks showing that it's too dark there. Curious to see what the original looked like. Yeah, the original. Oh, see, we even crunched more black into it, but that's okay because if you take that off, you're really just looking at, you know, the contrast in her hair. It's not really a big deal. Okay, so we have this more heated look to it. We'll skip through. I think these are all good. Oh, here we go. We got one of the two of them sitting there. If we go to the original on the left, skin tones are definitely different. He's chewing a banana, so we're not probably not going to use this photo anyway. But just for sake of learning, what I have here is maybe if I expose her a little more and then take down some of the yellowish to put her skin tone back to normal, and it's already better. Maybe pull up some shadows and it takes away some of that dark stuff, the blacks, and pretty good. So where are we getting this tone? Oh, this is all the vibrance that I have in. So let's take out some vibrance a little bit, get a little more natural skin tone back. And there we go. So there you go, and we'll take off that little clipping, and we'll take this, and for this, that's just a camera out in the field. Curious if I take this image and apply it to, let's just apply it to the rest, because see what happens. Sync it, and let's check this shot here. It looks a little more natural, not as vibrant. This is the guitar on this the massive stage. That's the ritualistic Illuminati fire pit for sacrificial purposes. We did not sacrifice her, in case you're wondering. Let me go back and check. Oh, see, look at, in the original, all this in the lake was overexposed. It's a little too much sharpness going on the right here, so maybe take down the sharpening some, and possibly some of the clarity a little bit. And we've brought, see if we had the highlights back up, all this red would be back in. So by taking out the highlights, you took out the overexposed areas. Double click to click the picture rather with your magnifying glass. All right, we're good there. So if I want to take this, and I'll go ahead and apply this. I'll sync this to all the others. And I might want to go back and sync it back with these because I removed some of the sharpening a little bit. So maybe come back and apply it to these guys here. And come back and check these photos where they are sitting down. If I compare her face to her face, what also the highlights does is it takes out some of the glare in the face, like the reflections somewhat. All right, that's good. And then we'll move along to, we were at the fire pit, and then we're here. She's on the bridge. Focus up for me now. Focus up for me now. Come on, don't delay. You can already tell this is underexposed. See all the black, and her face is dark. Over here it's brighter already. So that one's good. And then we'll scooch on over here. We got this. this is what it looked like naturally. This one we could probably pop in a bunch of vibrance to give it like more color in the bridge, since he's way off in the distance. And we could probably do the same thing here in this next one. Pop in all the vibrance, give it a brownish look on the bridge. Can kind of do the same thing here. Pop in all that vibrance, give it more color, because he's way back there, so you're not really going to see much of him. But you can totally see a big difference. So if I put in the vibrance again, you get more color. You can totally see the before and after. Look at the color of the bridge. I mean, just look right here at the trees on the left and the right. Way more green, and the bridge itself definitely got more color into it, and in there, injected in there. So press Y, come back out. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to take it to here and sync it. Now it might not be a good idea if it shows that one's alright, this one's good, so yeah, not bad actually. It just makes it look hot outside. It's not really messing with the skin tone too much. It's giving some color. So that ain't bad. I kind of like that look. This one, let's zoom out. So if we had a side by side, this is what we get. Should definitely look some more natural skin tone here. So maybe what we can do is take the blacks and bring them up a little bit to get rid of some of that black. Take the vibrance down a little bit. There we go. And there you have it. Take off this clipping mark, and that's good to go. Let's look at the before and the after one more time. Zoomed in. Not a major difference, just a little more coloration in this one, a little more sharpness. It's a little bit, but whatever. We're not doing it. Mostly the big difference is all the green in the background and the color of the bridge. So, and the skin tone a little bit. So let's move on to this. We get a turtle. Now this turtle, before we had all this coloration, did not look fluorescent. So do we want him to look fluorescent? Well, what I would do here is crank the clarity up. Let's take off these. Actually, what do we got? Let's bring our exposure down, double click it. There we go. And I like a nice green turtle, so I like them kind of fluorescent. It's a little overkill. Maybe bring the vibrance down a little bit. Give them a little fluorescent, but not like totally. Then again, the stuff in the water looks cooler too, like that. So how about we bring down the vibrance a little bit and we'll crank some contrast? No, that's not working either. How about we already cranked the clarity. Let's bring the shadows back down. And the blacks. The highlights back up? No. Highlights down. Contrast to the middle? No. Contrast back up a little bit. Shadows down. Blacks down. And what do you know? What do you have there? We got ourselves a turtle. I was zoomed in with the camera, so it looks awful anyway to begin with, but it is what it is. There he is again. So let's take this one and we'll just copy it to here by clicking Shift, clicking those, syncing it, clicking off, clicking back on, and checking out our turtle now. Did we overkill it? Did we lose it? Press Y, get the side by side. It's a little, I don't know. I mean, whatever. We're editing a bad picture to begin with. What do you want? If we were to take the clarity and bring it this way, it becomes more like artistic looking. So let's take that off and take a look at that. Actually kind of interesting with that look. Or the clarity way up, the clarity way down. This actually looks interesting like that. I kind of like that. Let's go to this one. Once again, let's bring our clarity down. It's more like it's more like an autistic turtle. Oh, I mean artistic turtle. I just didn't pronounce that right. I didn't mean to say autistic. I meant to say artistic. Okay, so I meant to say autistic. Okay, so with this one, now this one is actually, this one photo was taken with the real camera, and you could tell it's like better quality, so much better quality actually. See, I'm zooming in and it's still pretty clear. You could see detail in the little emblem and all that. So let's zoom out. And for this one will be a little different. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but let's just say we take our white balance, and there's nothing to white balance here. Interesting, as you go over it, you see this on the, let's just try to white balance it there. No, let's just say like this is white, and everything will change. Let's just say we put these in the middle, double click rather. Let's give ourselves some sun, some warmth. Let's give ourselves a little more exposure, because we were apparently underexposed there, and then we'll give ourselves a little bit of contrast. And then it will take these highlights down. I tend to take the highlights down. I don't know why. I think it's just because I don't like stuff being overblown. But let's just take them down a little bit. The shadows will bring maybe up a little. That's a lot. Everything becomes a little more gray, and the blacks, the whites, the blacks, a little more washed out look. I think we're hair overexposed. No, there we go. And the emblem, maybe bring the whole exposure over more. So now we have a nice big fat exposure here. We'll come over to the clarity and we will crank this for sure. I love a little clarity. Put a little vibrance in. Vibrance is almost like saturation, but it kind of it tries to not affect skin tone as much. So if I were to take the saturation and watch, the skin tone like totally changes. So if I take just vibrance, it'll pop in some colors, but it'll try to not mess with the skin tone as much. As far as to the best of my knowledge, that's how that goes. I don't really need to go into any in-depth color stuff here. Split tone and detail will go. We've got a little sharpening going on here. So let's take a look. If we turn it off, let's zoom in. And it's off, and now it's on. Not noticing a major difference, but a little. It's a little blurry, and then there it's sharpened up a little. So let's give it some more sharpening. Nice. And then we can probably mask it a little bit. I'm holding holding Alt to tell it so I can see that image. The detail, the radius, pretty good where we're at, I think. The luminance is going to reduce the noise. If I were to crank it up, you should probably get blurry. Yeah, too blurry. See how the face is all blurry. But if you put it down around, like, I don't know, let's say 10 or 15. Let's try 15, something like that. I don't really need to mess with all that. Oh, I clicked that off, click that back on. Okay, lens correction. We can do that if we want. What we have here is, it was a Tokina, and it was 11 to 16, I believe. Yeah. And there we go. Tokina. So what did that do? Just kind of fixes the edge of the pictures. If you look here at the bench in the top right corner, when I click it on, stretches out. Changes the lens distortion, kind of compensates for it. Effects. The effects are more like the effects are the what do you call the vignette? So if I go this way, I get a vignette around the edges. If I go this way, I get a white. And white's turning red because I have this clipping meter on, but it would look like this. And so do we want any of that is the question. The white kind of draws your eyes to it, whereas the black draws your eyes away from it. So this is kind of interesting with the vignette on here like this. It really kind of closes in. So maybe less of it, or maybe a bigger, wider midpoint. And the roundness is going to change the shape of it. So now you got just more corners. Feather it more, so it'll like blend it in better. And the highlight, I'm not exactly sure what that does, so we'll just leave it alone. But let's say you take it off and look at the corners again. So that looks okay like that, but when you put it on, what it does is it draws your attention to the subject in the middle and takes you away from the outer, which I actually really like that. Look at that. Now here's my favorite part. Maybe not my favorite, but one of my favorite parts, and I go to, and this only works when you're using raw photos, to the best of my knowledge. I don't want to say anything that's wrong, but I think I'm right because I'm usually like always right. But if I go to these, you have all these different settings that are going to change the tonality, and they all look pretty cool actually, to tell you the truth, But I'm going to tell you the one that I tend to go for in many instances. Not all instances, but in many instances, it is the camera landscape. And I just like it usually. I don't know why. It puts this golden glow over the whole image. Sorry. Been talking a lot and not drinking enough water, so sometimes I got a cough and I shut off my mic. But yeah, I'm all better now. Got some almond joy here. But aside from messing with the skin tone a little too much, sometimes you got to watch for that. But this landscape profile, I just really like it a lot. So let's go before and after and take a look. Now, granted, the one on the left looks way more natural. So the landscape might be a little overkill in this one, but let's go to like faithful and see what happens. Yeah, definitely more natural, somewhere in between. Let's go to camera standard. Nah, too much. Adobe standard, not bad. So what's probably going on here is, let's go to neutral. What has gone on here is my my temperature is a little too much, probably. Let's pull it back just a little bit. And my vibrance is probably a little too much, so let's pull that back. I really like the natural color in the original photo on the left. I don't know why we've lost that somehow. Let me check these again. The highlights, no, I'm going to take those out. Is it the contrast? Not really. I'm going to undo that. Is it the shadows? Can put those back down. Put them back up a little bit. Is it the whites? Bring those down. Is it the blacks? Closer. What is it? Is it the clarity? No. It could be. Let me put that back up. It could be. Let's see if it's the vibrance. Take that off. Not really. What do we have going on here? Maybe it's the. Maybe it is the lens. Sorry, the camera calibration, because I have it on neutral. So let's put it on faithful. Kind of like that, actually. It looks better than the one on the left. Let's give it a look as a wide shot, the way it was originally intended. not bad. So if we put them side by side, definitely a huge difference side by side. Let me zoom in, but try not to zoom in fully. Oh, that's way too much. If I were to zoom in like here, definitely a big difference. I mean, obviously this is more exposed. Definitely a big difference. Get your vignette effects on the side. All right, well, I kind of like it like that. Her jacket's a little more grayish here. It's black. I mean, it's definitely more contrast going on the right. So I kind of like that image like that. Let me go to see. In this case, I don't think the landscape worked. I mean, it's not bad either. Kind of like the faithful one because of that skin tone. I don't like how we lost all that skin tone. Like turned orangey too much. Focus, focus, focus. Yeah. I kind of like that more faithful look, the skin tone. But aside from that, I love that landscape. It works a lot. But in this case, I'm not feeling it. So there, I spoke too soon. The thing I said was my favorite just isn't even working. So, not in this picture. All right, so we're good with that one. So next we'll move on to this. We went out to eat. This one's a little, actually, sorry, it's a little bland in that it's lacking some contrast. So I'm going to take the contrast back up a bit. And then maybe even take this vignette effect over here, maybe take it down just a notch so it's not so obvious, and then possibly close it in a little more. There we go. Actually, okay, that's closing it way too much, so let's close it like this and then maybe pull it back some. There. So if we were to take it off, you have that, and then you have that. And this just kind of, see this thing in the top right corner, kind of, and here in the top right corner, or top left corner rather, the benches. So when I put my vignette on, it kind of just hides those and draws your attention to the sacrificial Illuminati ritual going on here. Next photo, please. Actually, it looks like a pretty good photo just as it is in the sunlight. I don't even know that I should mess with that, but let me just tweak it a little bit because we wouldn't be editing if we didn't do such. Let's pull in a little contrast. Let's pull in a little clarity. Oh, that's a little too much. Pull in a little vibrance. Take some highlights out. That gives us more clouds, remember? See the clouds in the back? You want them washed out? Or you want them clouds there? Even the street. So put the clouds there. And we'll take temperature and make it, ooh, maybe we should make it cool. Nah, not too hot. If we want to take our white balance tool here and click on something that's supposed to be white. Okay. I feel like we lost some skin tone. Sorry, I just clicked off my thing here. I feel like we lost some skin tone by playing around with this stuff too much. My exposure can come up a little bit. And that should be good to go. We'll pop in a little bit of sharpening just for good measure. A little masking on there, a little luminance on there. Just a little bit. And then if I were to go between the two, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got. Not bad. So we just got a little more color in this one. Got more clouds for sure. And that's it. Got a little more color in the outfit. A little more hotter look to it. And I think that's good to go. So let's move along. Actually, what we'll do is we'll take this. I'm going to copy this all the way to the end, which probably isn't going to work because the lighting will be different, but let's just try it because we might get lucky. Sync it up and click synchronize. This stuff that's not checked is like camera lens, spot removal, local adjustments, brush, gradient, filters, stuff that would be individual to the picture. So you don't want them to copy in most cases, but you could select them if you wanted to. Here we go. All right, so we're just going to do it side by side so we can see if we've made any improvements. We added a little color in. They look nice. So since we're indoors now, we're going to have to crank some exposure in, basically. There we go. A little exposure. We'll put on our clipping things just in case. And then we're going to take this one and we're going to copy this one all the way through because now we're inside, so the lighting is darker than outside. Needless to say, and then we will sync it and sync it. And whenever I watch tutorials on YouTube, which isn't too often, I always hear people say like so, and so I just want to say that. So we're just going to click over here like so, and yeah, now I feel cool. All right, so our brownies look nice and caramelized, and our images here look nice. These pink little piggies look nice and pinky. And then we'll move along to the next, see left and the right. So our, look at that. So they look nicer on the right. Our, what do you call, oh, let's put some clarity in these beasts for some sharpness and pretty good. I could even add some, these look good, I don't want to ruin it, but let's add a little clarity, okay. And for our creme brulee, we got that creme brulee over here, and then we'll just clarity that up a little bit. Ooh, look at the outlines I put around it. We're a little overexposed on that one, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna double click our exposure to back down to default. Now we're like a little underexposed. We'll just give it a little more touch of the old exposure, and then come over here and we got this one. We'll definitely want to crank some clarity into those. Clarity is going to define the edges and make it pop with the contrast. This one we're going to need clarity and it's overexposed, so we'll double click exposure back down. We see the texture in our slime here, whatever that is. And we're a little underexposed, so there we go. Looks okay, looks all right. Let's give it some vibrance, give it some color. Next one, this one, let's pump our clarity up so we get our defined textures, looking good. We'll just move right along, I'd say, to the next image of our food. And these were back to taken with a phone. I forgot to mention there was only that one picture of her on the fire pit being sacrificed that was taken with the actual DSLR camera with raw footage with really high resolution. These are back to the phone. Not bad. I want to add some vibrance to them because I want my kiwi to be like super green-y. This definitely looks like more natural kiwi, but this looks like more interesting kiwi. I like that, interesting kiwi. Alright, we'll come over here, we'll pop our clarity up. Looking good, move to the next. What I could do is I could take this image and we'll just copy. Let's just copy all the way to, wow, we have so many pictures. Just copy all the way over here to the end and sync it, so that way hopefully we have less editing to do. We'll click off, click on, click over here, back to this picture. Looking good, kiwi. moving along. Let's go to the before and after. That's all right. So take off my clip and you won't see that blue stuff on her shirt, whatever. I think that's good. Let's move along. Okay, so she's eating. We probably won't use this picture because nobody really wants a picture of somebody sticking food in their mouth, but let's go to the before and after just in case. Oh, major difference. So let's just use this as a, let's just use this as our next. Here we go over here and we hit, let's do, okay, we got our temperature. For our temperature, do we have anything that's white? Not really, but let's just imagine this cup is white. Oh, it gave us a blue hue. All right, let's double click that back to the center. Let's take our exposure down. Let's double click our exposure back down. Up a little bit exposure. Contrast might be a little too much, so bring it down to 12. Highlights, double click it. Now we'll crunch those back down. Shadows are okay. Whites, blacks, clarity, too much clarity. Bring the clarity down some. The clarity looks good on like the fruits and stuff because it outlines it, but on faces it gives a little too much, like a little too much. This is to the left. This is to the right, so it's a little too much, so we would just give it maybe like, I don't know, 12, 20, 26, something like that, 21. Vibrance can be up a little bit, not bad. Saturation, okay. Detail is on. I think we're good because if I were to look at the two of these together, the one on the right looks better now. We got sharpening, so it's just a little blurry. Maybe, no, I think we're okay. All right, so back on out of this. And we'll take this one. And so since we have this one, we'll highlight with, not with shift, but with control. And we'll click this one, and these are the ones that have people in them. We'll just pick the ones that have people in them. This and this and this and this. And then we'll sync those up. And maybe the ones with the food won't need much adjusting, but because these have the clarity popped in. Let's see. That's the before and after. So for this one, maybe just a little more vibrance or color. And I don't know, looks alright. There's not a lot of contrast going on between the plate and the sushi. So if I were to take this one that we just did, now let's just take this one that we just did and take it all the way to here and sync all these. Just forget it. Let's give them a clean start with this one that we made. Now our sushi picture is a little bland again. Before and after, not a huge difference, but oh, hit my microphone, sorry. A little bland again, so we'll bring in some contrast, we'll bring in the clarity, we'll bring in some, maybe a little more exposure overall. It's a little too much. We could take our thisy thing and then we could just put on some rice as white, see what happens. Ooh, nice. Changed our color completely, gave us like a bluish tint. I like that better. All right, moving along. This one, so if we like that one we did for the sushi, we'll grab that one, we'll click control and click this one, and click sync, synchronize, click off of it, click back on this one. Oh, not bad at all. It gave us that bluish tint. This red stuff, like I said over and over again, that's just the clipping meter. black one, we can take it off as well. Take it off, I said. There we go. So our soy sauce is nice and black. All right, so if we like that one, let's go ahead and control and take this one, this one, this one. These are all food images. So let's just see what happens. Let's take a look at one first. And now I'm going to hit sync and watch what happens to it. 3, 2, 1, and go. Change. 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 Oh no. Tell me it didn't change everything to this picture because I was on this picture. Maybe it did that. Did it do that? Let me undo. It may have done that. I'm not sure what it did. I thought it's the first picture you're on, but maybe it's actually the picture that you're on. Does this look the same as it did? Let me go back to this one. I'm going to pick this, 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 this. I'm going to pick all these ones with food in them. All the ones with food, and I'm going to sync them up. And then I'm going to come back and give it another check. So this is one that we did. Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. So now, yeah, now we got something going on here with colors. Interesting. Before on the left, after on the right. Definitely got like a bluish glow to it on the right. Interesting. All right, so that's not a great picture because it was zoomed in. Not a great picture, zoomed in. I was trying to zoom in while this guy was cooking my food. If I click off, I always feel bad because I never have cash for a tip, but you know, you're there at a buffet. You already paid. Okay, so him is interesting. Maybe we can give him some heat because he's in the kitchen. Get a before and after. Okay, good enough. I'm not really feeling it, but it's good enough. Yeah, it's good enough. All right, move it on over. I don't know what that is. It's just a bad close-up, but let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll take our clarity and bring it down to like this blurriness. It just looks like smoky fog. Now, crank it back up. All right, move on over. We got him here again. Let's give him some heat in the kitchen. And we'll take the clarity. Let's crank it up. Before and after. All right, good enough. Here's some food. Before and after. I'm not really feeling the bluish tint on this, so let's give it some more. Actually, let's double click and put it back to default. Let's give it more vibrance. It's just the smoke was, the heat was making it, the image foggy, but that's good enough, I'd say. It was close enough. A little overexposed here. There we go. That's better. Okay, and for the next one, you know what? I want to take this one from before and I want to copy it and paste it on these synchronized again to check out the next ones. Pretty cool. Not the sharpest photo, but let's see what happens if I take my clarity way down there. No, with clarity for sure. Okay, next one. Maybe this one's sharper. Look at all that contrast now. Looks pretty good. Looking pretty good. Makes me hungry again now. Might be a little too much contrast on this side. There we go. And next one. Probably a little too much contrast on this. Just a little. It always helps to look at the before and after. That way you get a good feel. I mean, if your before picture looks better than your after, then you're not editing right. But right is just a social construct and a relative term subjected to the viewer's perception and taste and preference of, I don't know what I'm saying, but anyway, there's probably just a little too much clarity. There we go. Tone down the clarity just a touch, and we're looking good. Moving along, moving along, moving along. I don't know what this thing is, but I ate it. It was like a bean of some sort. It's a little overexposed there. My hand, why does my hand look like that? Clarity. There we go. The tonality. There we go. A little more clarity. A little more exposure. There we go. And that's it. So let's take what we just did on this one, copy it to that one, sync it up. That's alright. These pictures are nothing special anyway. Ooh, here we go. Some kiwi. I don't know. Both of these look nice actually, left and right. This one has more color in the green tea ice cream for some reason. Maybe we'll tint it more green, this image. Ooh, give it all a green tint. Looks pretty cool now. Maybe less clarity. There we go. Look at that. Look at those kiwis popping out at you. Creme brulee, kiwi, green tea, chocolate. Alright, so that one looks good. And we'll move to, let's take a look at that by itself. Ooh, very nice. Go to this one. Side by side. Looks pretty good. Not much changes. Next one. Pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Next one. Pretty good. Just a little different tint, a little more exposure. Skin tone's a little different. And this is them eating, so we're probably not going to use these or share these pictures at all, but this is just me trying to edit. Oh, and what do we got here? So now we're on to, ooh, the indoor drum sequence. Okay. Well, this should be the end of the photos. The rest are videos down here. So if we find a good setting for this one, then we should probably be in a good place. So let's take this one here and begin by clicking here, clicking sync, clicking synchronize, and then we'll come back and we'll check out what we did. So what have we done? Not a whole lot. We popped in a little bit of color, a little clarity, a little contrast, a little exposure. Let's give more exposure. Let's give a little more clarity. Let's give a little more contrast, a little more vibrance. The tonality can be a little warmer. No, let's go a little warmer. Correct. I kind of like the warmer. Okay, and the highlights down. Not always, but I'm just keeping them down now. And that's alright. So let's take a look at that image. Kind of pop in with colors. Let's check our, what you call our white balance. So we'll give it right about a little bit of that. A little bit of warmth, maybe. And I think we're good to go. Probably pull in some highlights a little bit. I think we're good to go. So if I were to take that, oh, here, let's do some more contrast for the drums. A little more clarity, because these are far back images. And side by side, here's what we got. Definitely an improvement. So now that I got that one, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to click it all the way to here. I'm going to click sync and I'm going to click synchronize, and voila boom, voila bang. What do we got? We got this picture, we got this picture, we got this picture, we got this picture. Alright, so here's a nice one because she's smiling. Let's do a comparison side by side. What we have, a major difference here is skin tone. She's definitely brighter on the right, darker on the left. more exposed, better over here. Skin tone is not too much different, a little more vibrance in that image. If we want to take this and do a white balance on like the white here, ooh, what have we done? Let's see what we have done. So if I undo that, actually, kind of right, kind of looks better with the white balanced up on something like that. It is nicer, I'd say. It's a little more natural feel to it. So let's take these. We'll sync those again. We'll come take this one and we'll backpedal here and we'll sync those again. So now we've changed our white balance. Because we're inside, so it doesn't make sense to make it look like we're out in the hot sun. But here we got some pictures of her smiling. And I like the tonality of these. They're a little blurry, shot with the phone. Actually, probably while recording too. And so if I were to skip through some of these, how about this one, side by side? So what have we done? We've lost a little bit of, we've brightened up the color, which actually kind of works because it's making the glares on her cheeks and her nose a little less noticeable. She's got hair in her mouth, I think. See the glare on the nose, glare on the cheeks, they're a little less noticeable because this is more exposed. So yeah, go with the one on the right. Looks pretty good, I'd say. Might be a... Let me pull down the highlights a little more. Yeah, I'd say it's alright. I feel like it's a little too exposed, the hair too exposed, but there. And so if we take that one, looks good. We'll copy that to the end. Sync it, see? Notice how I keep syncing it? Because I keep making changes. And the changes should reflect to the nearby photograph that was taken before and after. And so the conditions should be similar, assuming all is... Shut up. Okay, so just moving along. That's it. Nothing really special about these. We were just finished up our video shoot and we just decided to play around on some instruments for good old time's sake. And then there we go. Side by side. Not bad. Focus up for me now. Okay, yeah. That's better on the right. A little punchier, a little clearer. Zoom back out. And that's it. So the rest, I believe, are videos. So that's it. Oh, here's another photo. What's this? Photograph. So we'll take this one. We'll hold Control. Come here, come here. Any more photos? I think that's it with the photos. That should be it with the photos. So we have these last two photos here. So we'll just sync those up really quick. See what happens. They just became way more exposed. Actually, way more contrasted, but it doesn't show her face to begin with. So not bad. If I want to go like creative, autistic style, we can do that. And then we can pop up some, let's bring our highlights back in. Ooh, interesting. Put the highlights up in the window here. Undo that. I don't know about that. Takes away that effect on the window here. So maybe just bring our overall exposure up. And our contrast down a little bit. Our clarity popped in is like, whoo, lots to look at. And our clarity down is autistic. But it's still underexposed like this, so over here it's a little better exposed. I don't know. Interesting. I think the softer look is easier to look at because this picture was not a lot of clarity to begin with. But anyway, you got this, you got that. It's a little underexposed, but if I go side by side with the original, definitely a difference. Look at the rug, look at the color, the blue, the blue, and the blue, and the blue, and the reds, the yellows, Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so there's the background, there's the painting, there's the woman, there's the guitar. It's popping orange. The red is pimping. And so there we go. So we'll take that. We'll apply that to the next photo, why don't we? Synchronize it just for good measure, and then we'll take a look at it. And this one we could probably put the clarity back in. There we go. We have a clearer shot. So we have one with the autistic look and one with the clarity look. And so this one can probably pump up a little more exposure for that autistic look. And then there's this one, nice and bright. And that should be it for you, folks. Okay, so now come out of the developer mode and go to the library, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these, click over here, click all the way down to here, all this stuff over here that we did, okay, and then we got this, and then we got all these drum photos. Oh, that's a video, interesting. So we got all the drum photos over here. We got all the drum photos. Actually, supposing we selected that video with it, let's just see what happens. So we click all these. We got all this. Let's click all the video. Click Control A, and it'll click everything. There we go. Click everything. All right. Control E, maybe? No. Yeah. No. No. That's an edit. That's something else. We're just gonna go up here and press File, Export. All right. So we export. We're going to change this folder. We were in the Grace Factor folder. We're coming out of the Grace Factor folder. We're coming up out of these Grace Factor folders. We're coming out. We're going to do to the Riggs White folder. And we got the Strange Music Video. Keep running music video. There we have it. We're going to select that. We have a subfolder. Subfolder is going to be edited images. Checkity. We have, we're going to video format. No, uncheck that. We don't include video files. We're going to set these to JPEG, jiggity pigs, and we're going to limit them to 2 megabytes, which is 2,000 kilobytes. And so the images, I wonder what the original resolution is on these images. Let me see the original resolution on some of these images. For instance, this one, properties. Oh, wow, there are over 2 megabytes. Okay. 5 megabytes. Wow. From the phone? Seriously? For seriousness? All right, well, let's limit these down to 3 megabytes. And that should do it. And then we're just going to hit export, and it's going to export them. And I believe my other ones are done. Believe my others are done. Look at me go, look at me go, look at me go, look at me go. Forgot I was on the actual live webcam. Okay, so that's it. So we got here, we have our 964 images that we just did before, that you weren't here for, but we got the church photographs for the baby shower. Grace Factor Church, place to belong, to believe, to become. I believe. The mixing board. The outside images on this photo shoot were the best. They had natural lighting. I did not use a flash with any of my photos at this session. Could be difficult when you're indoors with poor lighting, and then especially if you have like darker toned skinned individuals, it's harder to get good exposure without any proper lighting. Now this homeboy on the left here, he had a flash on his camera that he was using. I'm curious to see what his photos came out like, but mine did not have a flash, and I was just capturing the raw deal behind the scenes here, getting all the beautiful people. And this was a fun but long event. It was a baby shower. It was a massive baby shower at a church in Fort Lauderdale. All right, so these are looking good. See, there's my artistic edit, my artistic export. So here we go. All these were looking pretty nice. There's my buddy boy with his camera and his flash doing his thingamajiggy. And this is mine. These are my photos. Top quality. Top quality. Oh, and this one, I believe I used that landscape effect. What you call it? What do you call it? Condition, whatever you call it. I don't know what you call it. You called it. It was called something in there. It's called a camera condition, I believe. But it wasn't available on this. Yeah, the camera calibration rather profile wasn't. It was only available on the one that I tried to edit with the ritualistic Illuminati fire pit, but we didn't use it actually. Anyway, well, my point was I used a lot of that. I think I used it on most of these photos here. It just helped caramelize the skin tones, and these look very nice. I took literally 964, I believe. Typically at a photo shoot, I hate doing photo shoots for the most part, but typically at a regular photo shoot for like an event or wedding or something, I snap a good 1,000 pictures without counting. It just ends up being in the ballpark usually of rapid snapping. I guess it's just the way it comes out. For me, it always tends to be in that ballpark of about 1,000 photos. Excuse myself. Philosophy behind that, my philosophy behind that is more is more, less is less. People say less is more, less is not more. Less is not more. Okay, here's a suitcase with $10, and here's a suitcase with $10 million. Is less really more? I don't know. If you think less is more, you take the $10 suitcase, and I'll take the $10 million suitcase, because less is not more. But I understand what that means when they say less is more. They just mean don't overkill it, don't overproduce something, don't slap a million effects on the video or the photo, or overkill the production of the song. I get it. Don't put unnecessary things that don't belong there. Don't put stuff that doesn't belong. I get it. That being said, less is more has a context to it. And like I just said with the money suitcases, less is not always more. And so if a song calls for orchestration and you don't put it there, then you're missing out on what could be there. But at the same time, if it doesn't need it and you add it, then less is more. Make sense? Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. But what I was trying to say is, you could always delete photos. If I took 1,000 photos and I had to delete 900 of them, I still have 100 good photos, probably, hopefully. If I took 1,000 and I didn't get 100 good ones, I need to just throw the camera out the window. Probably should do that anyway. But you could always delete. You can't go back and reshoot this event. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but it would take a lot of planning and money, and it'd be hard to get all the same people there, and it'd be pointless, and it would be completely non-practical. I don't know, not practical. But what I was saying is, if you took extra, you could always delete. And the kid under the chair. So I always take more, and then I typically hand over all the photos for the most part. I'll delete things that are like really awful pictures if they're really blurry something. But also my other reason for taking more photos is because of facial expressions and people blinking or looking to the sides. If you got a photo where you're taking a picture of 5 people and 4 of them are looking at the camera and they look beautiful, and one of them turns and looks the other way, or makes a stupid face like or blinks or something, and then you lose that photo. If I'm rapid firing and I'm taking several and it's at the same time in sequence, chances are I'll get a good one, hopefully. See, my pictures are nice. Bunch of little kids. All the beautiful little children. Our future. They are our future. Gotta invest in them. Alright, so these are a lot of pictures. I don't really think I need to go through all these to show you guys all these pictures, but there are many, many, many. These are the ones from the auditorium. I tried to get all the people. I moved around. I tried to get different angles. I went to this spot. I went to that spot. I got the band. Got the ooh, look at that. Look at that food. Look how beautiful, beautiful. Making me hungry. This is the walkway, the entryway. This is the back room where they have the food. There's your sound man mixing it up on the mixer. This is some food out in the hallway. Oh, here's this is a double baby shower. If I recall correctly, the two of them are both having babies, and then so that's why there are two queen chairs. And so there we go. See, I get the shots that include the photographers. Look at that little boy photographer making his way up, paying his dues. Little boy with the phone. And then we're back here. We're taking the maternity pics. And then, see, there are two of them together forever and never to part, together forever with you. Don't you know I would move heaven and earth to be together forever with you? Now, they're not a couple. I just want to clarify that. They're not a couple. They are not part of that, I don't know what you call it, movement. Okay, so moving along. So you get all the behind the scenes shots here. Party people waiting for their food. They do a lot of talking on the microphone. And I do not speak Creole, so I didn't really understand what they were saying. I think they were making fun of me the whole time, but I'm not really sure. They kept pointing at me and laughing and throwing tomatoes at me and stuff, so I assumed they may have been saying mean things about me, but no, just kidding. I'm just kidding, because like you see the pictures and they're not pointing at me or throwing tomatoes at me, so you know I'm just kidding. All right, so moving on. I see the autistic one that I did. Not the people. I call this my autistic photo because I make it blurry and autistic. But anyway, see, these are the sharper ones. That's my clarity. I'm talking to myself. You hear the secrets that I speak when I'm talking in my sleep. When you hear the secrets that I speak when I'm talking on my stream. I'm not streaming, actually. I'm just recording, so that doesn't work. Oh, it's almost 7 o'clock. I think I got somewhere to be. It's a birthday party today. I believe my friend will disown me if I don't go. See, there, with the clarity to the left. This photo was a little blurry, so in order to save it, I popped colors and contrast and shifted the clarity to the left to give it that autistic look. Now this is the sharpened one. All right, we're scrolling through these 964, I believe, photos. So same stuff, men with balloons in their bellies, and then there will be women drinking bottles. So yeah, I went through. This was hard to edit because there were about 1,000 photos, so not hard, time consuming rather, but I had to go through and do it in increments because the lighting would change. See, this one was blurry, so I gave it that effect to just capture the moment, but salvage the photo. I do that in order I call it surgical editing, when you fix things that are not correct to begin with. But what I was saying is the lighting would change in this environment depending on where we were, which room, and how many people were crowding around. And at the end here, I had some difficult shots because they were all crowded in. and it was kind of dark, and I had to crank the exposure a lot to get these shots here, so they don't look that great, but they capture what's going on, so no one should complain. And then there we go. I told this guy, this is where the environment changed, because I told him to hold my phone, and I put the flashlight on, and so he's shining a light, so the exposure changed. My ear itches. Oh, have an almond joy. Hit my mic. Okay, and then poor kid with food all over his face and his clothes. This is towards the end here. There's pictures of the food. And there you have it. That's the end. Why does this look blurry? They look a little blurry here. Am I not loading up properly, or are these pictures really blurry? I guess they're blurry. All right, and this is about the end. So I remember editing. This was about the end here. That is the end. So anyway, I showed you those photos. You missed me editing it. Okay, these files are video files, so they were not. Some export operations were not performed. That's fine. They were videos. Click OK, and that's it. We are good to go. So that was the session. I actually did 2 sessions. I did the baby shower photos, and then I did these photos here. These photos did not really need to be done, but I only did them because I failed to record the baby shower photos. So in order to compensate, I just pulled in these photos. And there will be a video coming soon for this music video here. You will be able to find that at hitwavemusic.com. If you can't find Hitwave Music on YouTube, just go to hitwavemusic.com, hitwavemusic.com. It'll redirect you to the YouTube until we get a website built. But it'll take you to the YouTube. Subscribe there, turn on notifications, and you will get notified when this video gets done. It's going to be a cool video, and you saw our location and our shots in the park. Ooh, stretch. Aside from that, my controversial videos are at tactimes.com, tactimes.com. Don't go there if you're easily offended. If you're a snowflake, don't go there. If you have liberal views, don't go there. I'm just telling you now. If you're cool and you're awesome and you have the right opinions, go check it out, tactimes.com. And that's going to be it for this. I don't know what else to say. Blah, 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 blah. Have a nice day. I don't know what else to say. I think that's it. That's all. I mean, besides subscribe to the 10th power. I have like 10 channels. Oh, go to my, if you're watching this channel, go to the spot on the YouTube page that says channels. Click on that, and it'll give you like some of my channels, and just go to all those and subscribe on all of them. You'll be blessed for like a long time to come. Like you will have superhuman enlightenment. I mean, it'll be like practically an eternal blessing. I could probably say that in all confidence. All right. Goodbye, people. If you watch this, then thanks.